and welcome to the latest round of the Britcar Endurance Championship. Following visits to Silverstone, Donington Park and Spa, we're at the picturesque yet challenging race circuit Oulton Park in Cheshire for the 7th race of the season. This event marks the halfway point for what has been so far a highly competitive championship. Here's Chris Hartley to take us through the key teams emerging as contenders for this year's title.
Although they dropped points with spins at Donington Park and Spa, Javier Morcillo and Manuel Centrano have steered the Neil Garner Motorsport Mosler to 3 wins, more than anyone else this season. Ex-FIA GT racer Mike Millard won the opening round at Silverstone, but a string of electrical problems since leaves him in need of a strong weekend at Oulton. Also in contention are Darren Nelson and Nigel Greensall. Against more powerful opposition, they've taken 2 outright victories in their Class 2 Ferrari. But they haven't quite been able to match the consistency of Callum Lockie and David Mason. No wins yet, but they finished in the top 4 in all 6 races. Fast-playing catch-up are Peter Cook and Frank Pell. They missed the first 2 races, but have now finished on the podium in 3 of the last 4 outings. And they're not the only serious contenders. In his maiden season of endurance racing, Guillaume Gruchet has been one of the most consistent point scorers in his Newbridge Motorsport Porsche. While the Intersport BMW of Anna Walewska and Kevin Clark could break into the title race with a Class 3 victory here at Oulton. So, as we approach the halfway point in the championship, it's the FF Corsa Ferrari pairing of Lockie and Mason who lead the standings, just 1 point clear of Morcillo and Cintrano.
Before each race, every driver takes part in a 30-minute qualifying session to determine the start grid. So let's hand back to Chris to find out how the teams will line up for the 7th round of the championship.
An early 8:30 AM start to qualifying meant that the teams faced a wet track following some overnight rain. Driving the Mosler, Manuel Centrano set the early pace with a benchmark time of 1 minute 49.2 seconds. The Riley of Nigel Muster was more than 2 seconds slower, but still second fastest overall. Mike Millard was also revelling in the slippy conditions, 3rd fastest midway into the 30-minute session. There had been a monumental effort by the Capital Compactors Jensen Motorsport team just to get their chevron out, after they'd worked until 2:30 in the morning to fix a supercharger belt damaged by a stone in practice.
It's difficult because you want to stay and help, but you know you can't, so you're back in the hotel room, you're sitting there, you're waiting for the text, which came through at about 1:30 to say the car was almost ready. So it's quite difficult because you really don't know if you're going to be racing the next day or not. Obviously there's a lot of preparation from Spa, especially as we had the impact at Spa as well. So they've worked every day for the last month tirelessly. So it's a real team effort on their behalf. So you just got to make sure you do your best then and try and keep it onto the track and don't do anything silly to unreward all the work they've done.
Frank Pell had set the fastest Class 2 time in the first part of qualifying, but the track was beginning to change.
It's drying out, so it's actually, we don't expect rain during the weekend again, but it's actually during qualifying. It's right in the middle of the qualifying. So we just actually, I don't think we'll put. It's not dry enough to be on slick now, but you know, we'll see what's happened.
With 5 minutes to go, Javier Morcillo found the sweet spot to go fastest with a time of 1 minute 45.942. Craig Dolby was down to 1:47.2 and running second when Mike Millard edged the Riley off the front row of the grid by going ½ a second quicker right at the end of the session. Making his season debut, Adam Carroll grabbed 4th fastest overall and fastest in Class 2, beating teammate Callum Lockie by just 1/10 of a second. And almost matching their time, the BAMD Ferrari of Greensall and Nelson.
It's very tight, isn't it, out there?
Absolutely. We're sort of 1/10 off each other now, so we're all doing different modifications and upgrades and trying to beat each other, but it's so close now. Like, we've just all gone out in a similar sort of, exact conditions, and we're 1/10 off each other, so it's going to be a really, really close race this afternoon.
It wasn't quite as close, however, in Class 3. The Saxon Motorsport BMW of Nick Barrow and Richard Corbett 1.3 seconds ahead of their nearest rivals. But the session belonged to Neil Garner Motorsport, Cintrano and Morcillo taking their 5th pole of the year.
Very difficult session because it was wet at the beginning and it was drying. So the key of the session was to find the right time and the right tires to do the lap. We choose it perfectly. The team made the perfect decision and we put the tires exactly at the right time. and I did a lap that I couldn't repeat. So it was a proof that that it was exactly the right time of the track. So I am very happy, very proud of the lap and of the team and the right decision making.
It's confirmation of the top 8 times. Matteo and Cintrano 8/10 quicker than Millard, while Mistel and Dolby will line up third in the Riley. Carroll and Singhania also on the second row of the grid, the best of the Ferraris. Almost set then for the 90-minute race here at Oulton Park. There's the front row of the grid. There to the right of the picture is the Audi of Frank Pell, which has only just made it back up onto his grid spot after an incident on the formation lap. Here it is from Frank's onboard, getting run off onto the road there by the number 7 Ultima of JB Smith and sent into a spin. Luckily, Frank was able to recover very quickly and got back into his grid position as the race now gets underway. Good start from Craig Dolby there. To the left in the Riley, contact with the Mosler. Mosler then hits the Rapier and off into the barriers goes Manuel Cintrano. And Mike Millard caught out in all that, was on the outside. A big heavy crash.
I'm fine, but the car is out.
And he's okay, he's saying on the radio, but the car is toast. And so too is the Millard car. The marshal's speaking to Mike. Hopefully he's okay after a heavy impact. The red flags are coming straight out. Let's have a look at a replay then. Look at the Riley on the left there, moving across to take his line. Cintrano was hit, and then a concertina effect as he then went into the side of Millard, who was completely innocent in all of that. So a big heavy crash at Old Hall Corner right at the start of the race. This is it now from on board with Cintrano. You can see he just gets swiped there. Cintrano stayed on his line, didn't exactly close the gap. And he'll not be very pleased about that at all. So the main thing is that Manuel is okay, but Nilgarda Motorsports car, championship frontrunners, of course, out of the race. That car also out of the race. But the good news is that Mike Millard, we hear, is okay. Into the pits has come the Ultima. Well, the red flags are out. They're having some bodywork replaced on that. And that was for a separate incident just on the rolling start. Look what happens here. That's a little tap, I think, from behind, then sent into the back of one of the Ferraris and damage to the bodywork. OK, then, so after delay, the race is about to get underway. Slightly depleted field because we're minus the Rapier, we're minus the Mosler. It's going to be a rolling start on board with Frank Pell as he looks to make good progress here at the start of the race. OK, so Craig Dolby with a good start getting the lead of the race. Then it's Callum Lockie, the Class 2 Ferrari. And then it's the next of the Ferraris, Gautam Singhania. So the two FF Corsa teammates, second and third. Darren Nelson overtaken there by Frank Pell and the Audi. So the Simpson Motorsport car gains a place up to 5th. In between the Ferraris and the Audi is the Jamie Smith Ultima, making its way now to Cascades and down towards Shell Corner, and smoke, and tyre smoke. It's a spin from the Ultima. It's gone off into the barriers on the restart, so yet more drama here. So up to 4th place it will be now for this man with the onboard camera, Frank Pell, onto the tail of the Ferrari of Singhania. So it's a Class 1 car that leads, but then Class 2 cars are now 2nd, 3rd and 4th. The slightly less powerful machines making their way through the chicane for the first time. Over the brow down hilltop goes the race leader, Craig Dolby, already getting away from the Ferrari of Callum Lockie. And there is Gautam Singhania under real pressure now from Frank Pell as they make their way down through the Neckerbrook chicane for the first time. I'll accelerate now up Clay Hill, and we're going to get a replay of this spin from Jamie Smythe. Just got on the power, on the throttle too heavily. There was no contact from behind, so a mistake there from Jamie out of the race. It looks like for another car. So there's only one Class 1 car left in this race now, and it's the one that leads the way as we see a challenge from the Audi here on the way into the final turn of the lap at Lodge Corner. Frank Pell can't make it through there, but he gets a good run coming out through Deer Leap now. He's going to be absolutely alongside the Ferrari, and he goes through. So that now puts him up to 3rd place behind the Ferrari of Callum Lockie and the race leader in the Riley, Craig Dolby. Double wave yellows down through Cascades because of this incident involving the Ultima, which is now being recovered. And indeed, that incident is now going to bring out the safety car here at Oulton Park. Welcome back to Oulton Park. We're about to try and get the race underway again after a red flag and then a safety car. So the safety car is about to go into the pit lane, and the rolling start will get underway, and they'll be led away by Craig Dolby, the ex-Super League racer, and the number 19 Riley. In 2nd place, it is Callum Lockie, the ex-British GT champion and multiple Britcar champion, driving the FF Course Ferrari. You're on board with Guillaume Gruchet, who currently runs 3rd in the championship, running in the Newbridge Porsche. And then we got the 2 Ferraris. in Class 2. Number 23 being driven by Gautam Singhania, the Indian racer. And then right behind him, this is on board with Darren Nelson, only in his second season of racing. Championship contender in this car. The car ahead in its first outing of the season, also run by the FF Course team. Very good under braking there from Darren Nelson on the way into the Shell Oils hairpin. He closes the gap right down to the car ahead and keeps up with him on the acceleration out of the corner as well. Over hilltop then comes the race leader, Craig Dolby, the Leicestershire-based driver, the only Class 1 car remaining in this race. Then it's Lockie in the Ferrari, and there is Frank Pell, who's had a very good start to proceedings in the Audi, despite the fact that on the outlap he was forced into a spin and almost missed the start of the race. As onto the grass goes Guillaume Gruchet, running wide coming out of his chicane, and that will cost him a place as the number 45 Nick Barrow BMW comes past. A little bit further back, we've got two Ginettas side by side as well here. Stephen Fressel in the number 36 car, making a move on Sally Jolik, who's in his first ever race there in the green and white Ginetta. So there is the leader. There is second and third, Frank Pell, as he has been all the way through this race so far, breathing down the neck of Callum Lockie. But Callum has not put a wheel wrong so far and has not given any opportunities for Frank to come by in the Audi. You can see the Ferrari just stretches its legs a little bit there, going down to Old Hall Corner, so the gap opens up again to a couple of car lengths. Then you've got this battle between these two Ferraris for second in class. Bit deep into the corner there for Darren Nelson in the number 31 BAMD Ferrari, so he loses a little bit of time on the way through Old Hall Corner, and then it's plummeting downhill through Cascades. Gautam Singhania will hand it over to a very, very quick driver in Adam Carroll after this session, but likewise for this car, because it's Nigel Greensill that will take over from Darren Nelson. There is the number 33 of Jensen Lund. That's going well up in the top 6 now. This car with over 440 brake horsepower, the little Chevron, handles beautifully, and the car running well at the moment despite having had problems in practice. So there is Craig Dolby. Had lots of single-seater racing experience before he turned to GT racing. And then this battle for second place. Frank Pell getting a bit closer now, has a little glance down the inside of Callum Lockie. It's a long race, so he won't take any unnecessary risks at this stage of proceedings, but through Knickerbrook chicane, he's much, much quicker there than the Ferrari, so might have a chance on the rise up towards Druids. There is Singhania doing a very good job in 4th place. There is Nelson in 5th, and a bit of a gap back to Jensen Lund in 6th place. Mike Millard out of the race after that start line incident. So too the Mosler of Javier Morcillo.
Definitely the championship is looking bad, but all we have to do is do it right, do it honestly, do our best job, be fair, and if we win the championship, we win it, and if we lose it, we lose it. And if we can get back this thing on the road, that would be one thing to be proud of. And if we can win the championship after all this, we would be partying really strongly.
On board then with Jensen Lund, ex-stock car racer. Lots of experience in different types of machinery, and he's just losing a place there to Nick Barrow in the Saxon BMW. So a place gain there, another one for the BMW, which is flying along very nicely. It leads its class. Stephen Fressel is second in Class 3, behind that BMW, and a very different type of BMW. Anna Walewska there in the number 43 Intersport car runs third within Class 3. There is the overall race leader, the double runner-up in the Super League Championship, Craig Dolby, where he represented the Tottenham Hotspur team a few seasons ago. Second outing of the season for the Riley, led at Donington Park until it stopped about halfway into the race. Still this battle for second raging on, about 12 or 15 seconds down on the leader now. Frank Pell has been super glued to the tail of the FF Course Ferrari for a number of laps now, but can't find a way through. There is the Saxon Motorsport BMW of Nick Barrow, having moved ahead of Jensen Lund and the Capital Compactor Chevron. There then is Singhania, his first race in Britcar, doing a really good job here. Keen yachtsman, keen sailor, as well as being hugely keen on motorsport, set up the first supercar club in India, amongst the many things that this busy businessman does in his spare time. And he's keeping Darren Nelson at arm's length at the moment in that battle between the two Class 2 Ferraris for what is third in class. Darren Nelson, though, he's definitely quicker at this part of the course, and under braking again, he closes right up to the tailgate of the Ferrari ahead, a bit deep into the corner, just about keeping it on track, but somehow stays on. A little bit slower coming out of the corner, but he definitely is very good on the brakes there, Darren Nelson. And again, this battle raging on between Callum Lockie in the Ferrari and Frank Pell, who you're on board with now, the Frenchman, based not too far down the road. This is his home circuit, having lived in Britain for a number of years, onto the tail of the Scotsman. You can see Guillaume Gruchet in the Porsche getting ever closer now to the tail of Jensen Lunn, who's lost a bit of pace over the last couple of laps, accelerating out of Dare Leap, getting up towards the start-finish line, and Guillaume Gruchet getting into the slipstream now. We'll have to go the long route now. The inside line is covered into Old Hawk Corner. Guillaume Gruchet right around the outside, an absolutely terrific move. And they're both coming up to be lapped now by the overall race leader, Craig Dolby. There is Sally Jolik doing a terrific job in his first ever race in that Ginetta. There's Adam Carroll, the XA1 GP champion, getting ready to get into the number 23 Ferrari. And Nigel Greensoul is now on board the BAMD Ferrari. I don't think he's got a problem. I think he's just trying to make sure he doesn't cross that exit line, the white line, before the minimum time. You have to be in the pits for 90 seconds as a minimum. So just creeping up to the line to make sure he doesn't get a penalty. And Jensen Lunn comes into the pits now in the Chevron, which ran as high as 6th in the race, but that's been pushed into the garage. So this is not a scheduled stop. A problem, I'm afraid, for the car, which had been going so well. Meanwhile, the safety car has come out, and it's because the Ginetta of Stephen Fressel, which was second in class, is out. Poor Stephen, who was having a great race, has gone out of contention. So it's going to be a flurry of pit stops now, because we're into the zone where they're all going to come in and change drivers. So Frank Pell is getting out of the number 21 Audi, which runs in 3rd place. He's going to hand over to Peter Cook. And into that car, we'll get Ewan Hankey, the ex-Porsche racer, to take over the number 38 Ginetta from Sally Hewlett. Number 26, Callum Lockie, meanwhile, trying to put a lap onto Nigel Greensoul. Callum still to go in the pits, though. There is Craig Dolby, who's had an incident-packed race, particularly with that start where he had the collision with Manuel Centrano. Back out goes Jensen Lunn now. The Chevron back up and running, the team having got it sorted out fairly quickly. Fuel has gone in now to the race leading car. They're getting into it is the owner of the car, Nigel Mustel, taking over from Craig Dolby, on board with Nigel Greensoul on the way to Old Hawk Corner, and that's Callum Lockie coming through. So these two that are battling for the overall title and for the Class 2 title, a lap apart, but with one still to come into the pits. Guillaume Gruchet, meanwhile, has got breathing down his neck. Ewan Hankey, who's trying to get a lap back on him in the Ginetta. So the team is ready for the last one to come into the pits. Everybody else pitted during the safety car period, but Callum Lockie opted to stay out longer. So from the lead of the race, he now comes in to hand over to his teammate David Mason. And that means that this driver, Peter Cook, might have a chance of moving up to 2nd place in the race.
It's been quite an eventful race so far. First of all, can I just ask about your tactic with the safety car? I know whenever there's a safety car out, you need to make it work for you. What's your tactic with it then? Are you trying to make it work for you?
Well, as you say, you have to make it work for your particular strategy. And remember, you can only take 25 litres on board on the safety car. So if you can't make it on a full tank plus 25 litres, it means you have to stop again anyway. However, there may be another safety car, in which case you get another free stop, as it were. So it's like that. You know, you have to play it how you see it. Our strategy was to leave me out, because I was in the lead and that was working best for us. And I think it paid off fairly well, because we were a lap ahead of the other two Ferraris, which when we came in. So how that pans out, we shall see.
A real shame. The Chevron grinds to a halt. Alistair Lindsay has not been in it long, and it will bring the safety car out again. Race restarts, and the Audi, during that pit stop period, has gone into the lead. So into 1st place goes Peter Cook. There in 2nd place is Nigel Mustel, and the number 19, Riley. Then the two Ferraris are a lap down. Nigel Greensoul and Adam Carroll, 4th and 5th. This is the car in 3rd place. David Mason now behind the wheel after Callum Lockie's excellent work. The Saxon Motorsport BMW has dropped down the order after a prolonged visit to the pits, and this car is absolutely flying, going the other way now that Ewan Hankey is on board the Ginetta, looking for a class win there. 2nd in Class 3, Kevin Clark in the BMW. Now on board with Nigel Greensoul, who has been brought in for a stop-go penalty. So he's going to come out the pit lane, and having done lots of work to try and catch up that number 26 Ferrari's just gone out just in front of it, but a lap down. He's got all that work to do again, but he's much quicker than David Mason, who's in that Ferrari. Still trying to make up time. There's Richard Corbett in the number 45 Saxon Motorsport BMW, which has been very quick but not always reliable this season. Peter Cook then extending the advantage for Audi and looking for that team's first win of the season for Simpson Motorsport. They've had 2nd and 3rds, but no wins yet. There is the car in 2nd place now, which is missing a bit of pace at the moment. It's had some slow laps that with Nigel Mustel on board. And look at these two Ferraris absolutely at it. Now this is David Mason in the number 26 car in third place, who has been caught now by Adam Carroll. And Adam, surely he's going to come through. He's been 8 or 9 seconds a lap quicker. So there's about to be a change for third place. Guillaume Gruchet has had an extra visit to the pits. So the Frenchman has dropped down the order, but again looks like he's going to finish and pick up some decent points here to keep him in championship contention. And there is Adam Carroll, and already he's gone ahead, look, probably somewhere up towards Druid. So by the time they get to Lodge, he's already a couple of seconds clear of David Mason and up to third. Almost home and dry now then for Peter Cook. He's kept things nice and neat and tidy in that Audi in the second stint, after Frank Pell set the scene with a very lively first stint in that great battle with Callum Lockie. On board with Nigel Greensall, who's trying to unlap himself from the Riley, but just ahead is David Mason. This is for fourth place overall. It's also going to be for class, and Nigel comes through, gets past David Mason and picks up what's going to be fourth place. So David Mason down to fifth. Meanwhile, here comes the Audi. One more corner to go. Through Lodge goes Peter Cook. Up Dialipi will go, and the checkered flag for the first time this season goes to Peter Cook and Frank Pell. They win here at Oulton Park. Here then is confirmation of the results. Running the final lap of the race, Mason and Lockie lost another place down to 6th position.
The car's really good. I don't think we've had the car better than we've had it today, other than Frank didn't leave didn't put the brake blowers on for my stint. He turned them off coming down the pit lane. So other than it feeling pretty nasty under the brakes, yeah. Fortunately, we had a big lead, so it wasn't an issue. And it was just a question of just bringing it home, so it was a bit boring for me. Frank had all the fun.
And there was a Class 3 victory for Ewan Hankey, and on his maiden race, Sally Ulick.
Actually, just happy that I'm be able to finish the race, because it's my first race ever. And hand it over to him in a good condition, actually, in a good position, so he could win.
You look like a proud father right now. You have been, you know, showing him the ways, as it were. You know, does it feel great to be a class winner and knowing that it's today of all days?
No, definitely. I mean, Sally, I only met him about 7 months ago. Never really been on track before. And the last 7 months we've been training, testing, and to see him do his first race today, and we end up winning, and he handed over the car to me in second place. I was really, really happy.
Confirmation then of the point standings. Mason and Lockie now pull clear. Guillaume Gruchet moves up to second, with Walewska and Clark in third.
Well done to our race winners, Cook and Pell, who will no doubt be delighted that the next race comes from this very circuit. This has been the Britcar Endurance Championship, displaying yet again some top-class racing. We'll see you next time.